Welcome, everyone. This is the 6th episode of the Unbanned podcast, and we have one thing to say. Unbanned Field of the Dead, because it probably, might not be that way for very much longer. My name's Jake.
Burn the witch.
My name's Jake, and we have Justin. And Jordan, of course.
I am Jordan. We're going with that one again.
One of these days, you guys aren't going to be here, and it's going to be really awkward doing intros.
I am Jake the Jackal, and this is the podcast. Welcome, friends.
Today I'll be playing Mono Black Aggro. Yeah.
For the 5th time in a row.
Listen, if you're not playing black in your deck, are you really playing Magic? Because that's the best way to play it.
I mean, we'll talk about this later, but Blue-Red's been doing me good.
This week, there's not actually too much going on. We got a lot of news stuff. Mythic Championship 5 is coming up this weekend. We're recording Sunday, the 13th of October, so got the whole week to lead up to that, and then we get to watch some people play some, hopefully, really good Magic. Why don't we just jump right into the first little bit of news this week, which was My Little Pony cards.
Boy.
So apparently for Extra Life, which is a great charity, by the way, you guys should go check them out, Wizards of the Coast decided they would do some silver-bordered My Little Pony cards. There's not a lot to talk about here. They're already sold out at this point, so this is obviously something that someone wanted, but pretty cool that they did something for charity.
Apparently the bronies are still going strong. I was going to say, I think they missed the mark on this. Like, maybe if they did this back in like 2011, it would be really big, but I guess they all sold out, so people like them. Go bronies.
What do you think is next, though? Like, My Little
Transformers.
Pony, they already did that.
Yeah, they did that.
They did Grimlock.
Oh, yeah, you're right. They did do that. Let's do... What's next?
They did Nerf. They did D&D. They did My Little Pony now. NFL crossover. I don't know. What's it? Something else that's popular with nerds. I don't know.
Let's see.
Hasbro has access to G.I. Joe. Bring that back.
G.I. Joe.
Pork chop sandwiches.
Oh, they got Star Wars.
Wait, really?
They have access to Star Wars, really?
It says it here on Hasbro. I went on Hasbro shop, and I see
Wow.
Marvel, I see Power Rangers, I see Disney Princesses, I see
The thing
Star
is-
Wars, and Play-Doh.
The thing is, the fact that Hasbro makes the toys doesn't mean that they have access to the actual IP.
I mean, they do sell Infinity Gauntlets for $100.
Wait, they do?
Yeah.
Oh my god.
Stop telling me things I want to buy.
It is hilarious how unaware we are of what Hasbro as a company does. We just only care about Magic. We pay no attention to the toy line that owns our favorite card game.
I think that's pretty expected at this point.
We just hope they don't interfere.
It took me a while to realize that Hasbro owned Magic, I'll be honest. I thought it was still just Wizards of the Coast. Like, I think until very recently. But I'm also not the smartest.
The Dark Empire.
I mean, it doesn't help that most of what Wizards does is, like, kind of mysterious and weird, which is my great transition into the other bit of an announcement this week, which is an announcement of announcement. Again, Wizards. Thanks.
We have a trailer for our teaser for our trailer.
They are doing a mystery booster. They said that they're going to announce what it is, and that's all the information we have, that and a release date.
Can I read the entire article real quick?
Oh, go ahead.
All right. Huh. What's this mysterious thing? Picture of mystery booster. Find out more at Magic Fest Richmond, November 8th to 10th. That's it.
That's literally it.
That's the entire article by Blake Rasmussen.
It's Vintage Masters, boys.
No, hey, call back to the first episode. Go back and watch that if you haven't yet. I called, because it's Magic Fest, I called that there'd be boosters or I said they should do boosters with like modern staples and stuff like that in it.
Oh yeah, that'd be cool. Maybe it's their new promo thing, like the thing we suggested. They're just they're listening to the podcast and taking our ideas. Unbanned players win.
It does say Mystery Booster Convention Edition.
Oh, gotcha.
So, yeah, that's the odd thing, is like, maybe they're going to start giving you something for showing up to Magic Fests?
I hope. That'd be cool.
That could be
like the thing we suggested.
I just think it's going to be a main event pack, but
Like, you get a whole pack instead of just the promo.
I'll bring this up for the people who haven't seen it. I was suggesting, like I said, they do a pack that has a chance at having modern staples like fetch lands, maybe a chance to get like a Bob or a Lily of the Veil, like something really cool. Granted, it could also have garbage like
Foil Forest from Kaladesh.
people like those. Those are actually one of the best looking basic lands. I think like, oh man, I cannot think of a bad card off the top of my head.
Foil Tassel Dromedaries.
Yeah.
The 0/4 Camel from Kaladesh.
There's just a foil Tassiger in it. An Ultimate Masters Tassiger. The ugly one.
Will they stop reprinting Tassiger?
What do you mean? He's only been reprinted once.
What do you mean?
He was
I
printed
swear
in Fate
hold on.
Reforged. Then he was the part of the last event deck for Battle for Zendikar.
Tassiger.
But
I'm
he
looking
was
this up
also
right now.
printed in Ultimate Masters, and that's it. The reason he's so cheap is because he was in an event deck.
That's a reprint. Like
No, it's not. It's still Fate Reforged on it. It's technically not a reprint.
I'm just saying the promo version, the box topper, is $4.
Almost spit out my drink. Is it really that bad?
Oh no. Sorry. That was online. It's 33 in paper.
Okay, that's not as bad, but that's still pretty cheap for a
But
box
guess how much the
topper.
base one is?
What do you mean? Like just the normal one?
Yeah, normal Tassiger.
Oh, dude, it's got to be like 15 cents.
It's $1.75.
Wow.
The foil version is $3.
I'm just saying, invest now before it spikes.
Actually, yeah, I might actually do that.
It's not going to spike.
It'll
No,
go
it's not.
up
No.
steadily.
won't.
It's a good commander card, man.
It's beaten out by Gurmag Angler. It's not going to go up.
Gurmag Angler can't be your commander, though.
But there's so many good mono black commanders that are better than him, I think.
He's not mono black, he's Sultai.
Oh, yeah, I guess you're right.
Muldrotha is better than him, but he is a key part of the Muldrotha deck.
So he'll stay $2.
Like you have Ultimate Box Toppers. Can you name me the cheapest non-land Ultimate Box Topper and how much you can buy it for right now? As cheapest.
Lord of Extinction for $25.
Ooh. Jordan?
I don't even know what the ultimate box toppers were. I didn't pay attention to them after I pulled a Noble Hierarch and immediately sold it.
So it is Lord of Extinction, but $18.
I was so close.
Can you name the cheapest one?
No. It's probably what was the there was some really crappy lands in there.
There's two crappy lands. The two crappy lands are 1 and 2.
It's Lava Claw Reaches.
Oh.
I remember that one.
Lava Claw Reaches. That's
Incorrect.
So I guess I do know some of them.
Is it the green-white manland?
It's Stirring Wildwood.
Yep, that one. I played a lot of that land when I first started playing it Modern.
Actually, right now you can buy a Lava Claw Reaches for $1.60 less than a Stirring Wildwood, but the market price for Wildwood is half $1 less than the Lava Claw. Sorry to get into that little tangent. I just thought it was funny.
So what you're saying is all of these are going to be in the mystery boosters.
Man, I hope so. I hope I get another box topper Lava Claw Reaches.
Oh man, you could go for the playset without actually buying them.
Why?
Meanwhile, I'm over here at GP Portland and I'm like, oh man, I did really well in that trial. Let's get a box topper. Immediately pulls a Noble Hierarch.
I don't even...
And then I pawned it because they dropped immediately after that. They'll probably go up long term, but like they dropped hard after I pulled it. Can we take guesses as to what is in the mystery boosters really quick? Like let's all come up with like one thing we would love to have in them.
I already said it, so that's for you.
What was your thing?
That it'll have modern staples in it. Like you could get like a fetch land or a lily out of it.
I think that it's guaranteed that it's got to be something to replace modern sets. The master sets obviously are on hiatus, possibly discontinued forever, and modern prices are just insane. So
I feel like that's probably it. It might also be, now this is my hope. I hope that these are going to be tailored to the Grand Prix / Magic Fest that they are at, So if it's like a legacy Grand Prix, they'll contain legacy staples.
Like Caracas.
Volcanic
Yeah.
Islands.
And then they could be like, hey, we're going to put reserve lists in this. And that people will be like, you said you couldn't do that. And I was like, well, we said we were going to reprint them in a main set.
Ha 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 ha.
Well, they've already put reserve list cards in a set, like, 10 years ago?
Apparently the way around it is that they can print promos of reserve list cards. So if they made all these promos, you could totally get around it. So I'm hoping that's what they're doing. Obviously, that's a long shot.
They tried that, and then people got really mad when their Mox Diamonds were in a From the Vault set, and they're like, oops.
I mean, people can just deal with it. I think it's to the point now that Wizards doesn't care about Paper Magic anymore. They're so focused on Arena, it seems like, that they're just like, Paper Magic can do what it will do.
Thinking of Arena, this podcast is not sponsored by Magic the Gathering Arena.
But everyone else is.
And Wizards decided to announce one more thing this week, which was unsanctioned. And if you can hear the tone of my voice, you can probably guess how I feel about unsanctioned.
I was about to say, I am unexcited for unsanctioned.
I might buy it.
I'll probably buy it. It's just...
You know what I love mostly about Magic the Gathering products? Is that they include the most minuscule things in the description of what they contain. Like, continue what it is, and I will tell you exactly what is in this, because I love one of them. If you're on the article, you know exactly which one I love.
Okay, so Justin, why don't you let us know what's actually in unsanctioned and what it is.
Okay, so unsanctioned basically is 5 30-card decks that you can mash together, it looks like. And in their words, it's unbelievable. And let's see, it also comes with 4 black border basic lands, because if it has it has 4 lands. But let's see here. Sorry, I had to kind of read through it real quick again, because it's weird. Like, you know what I mean? Like, it doesn't make complete sense to me.
It's a really odd product. For those of you who haven't played one of the unsets, or maybe got in with MTG Arena in the past year, the unsets are joke sets. We have unglued, unstable, and unhinged. And they're non-legal. You just buy them and you get to have some fun for a little bit. The distance between the last unset and unstable, which was the one we had a couple years ago, it was like 7 years, 10 years, something like that.
I was about to say, I think it was like 10 or 12.
Yeah, it was a long time. Anyway, what's in these packs?
So, we got 5 30-card decks. Like I said, you can mash them together. I think it's more just like the Game Night product, which I think also got announced this last week. It's kind of just like buy it and play with your friend sort of thing. So, 5 30-card decks, 2 6-sided dice. 6-sided. They couldn't afford the 20-sided in this one. 10 double-sided tokens, oh boy. Then you got 10 for basics, 5 foil, 5 regular, and then my favorite part, 1 reusable box.
Oh man, I love those cardboard boxes.
They always give us the best boxes.
It's
Anyone
like,
who's
why?
ever bought a bundle nowadays knows that.
Hey, at least they don't bend your cards anymore.
I will give them credit. The Planeswalker deck boxes are amazing because they can fit sleeved decks now.
That's some serious technology.
That is the smartest thing they've ever done with cardboard since, like, Innistrad.
It's interesting that you bring up Innistrad because I want to start talking about this unsanctioned thing. And I recently rewatched a YouTube video. It's from Rudy at Alpha Investments, where he's talking about Return to Ravnica, and he's making the joke, like with Shahrazad, and he keeps cutting the video, that like there's no creativity left, and we just keep returning. It's always an endless cycle. And the video like ends with him just pulling Shahrazad out of a box infinitely, like he has all of them. And I'm just like, I feel that.
Mm-hmm.
Because it used to be that like the unsets were, when I started playing Magic, were like this mythical thing. They're like, wow, they did these cool joke sets back in the day, and they haven't done one for a while. I'm like, man, I would sit there and think like, what would they do with the next unset? That'd be so cool. Because I would look at the cards and they'd be so crazy, and I'm just like, man, that looks like so much fun. I can't wait for them to do another one. And now this one is announced, and I'm just like, I'm just not that excited because it's not a draft set, and it's like we just got one, so it doesn't feel that special. And I'm just like, I'm kind of excited, but
That's how it feels with Magic right now. They had an unset. Unstable was great. Like, when we would imagine what they would do in modern Magic if they made another joke set, Unstable was it. It did everything we wanted. It had good value because of the full art lands. It was fun to play. It was actually mechanically sound, and you could do some crazy stuff. And then they just immediately cash in and do it again 2 years later because...
It's almost like they've done this recently, like with Masterpieces.
And Ravnica and Dominaria, and they keep just redoing things.
well, and doing the same thing again isn't necessarily bad as long as you have good ideas for like how to push it forward.
Theros.
Yeah, like, well, and it's like we're kind of coming up to a year where it's gonna feel a lot like this, where it's like, hey, have we seen this before? Because we got Theros coming out, we got Zendikar Rising. I'm excited to see what they do, but I'm also worried because I feel like we just had a Ravnica set where we went back to Ravnica, and then we had Dominaria where we went back to Dominaria, and I'm like, and Eldraine is out, and it's fresh and new, and it feels really good to play because it's just different. It's something we haven't seen before, and I'm just like, I want more of that, but it seems like they keep going back to the same ideas. I'm like, I know you guys have more than this. I know all the people at R&D can do more than this, but they keep going back to the same ideas, and I don't know why.
It's really kind of odd, too, because they have... Like, if you want to return to a set from Magic, they have a lot of sets that we haven't really done again. Like, Kamigawa is one that gets brought up all the time, and they have a lot of reasons as to why they don't want to do that again. But at least that has some, like, pedigree. It's super old. A lot of the cards, even though the standard wasn't very well liked, a lot of the cards have aged in a way that people really remember them, and doing callbacks to them would feel exciting. Doing another Zendikar 4 years after the last Zendikar, what are we going to call back to?
Landfall.
We literally had Landfall in Commander last year.
No, forget Commander. That's not a standard set. You guys don't pay attention to that.
Yeah, no one plays Commander. No one.
There was allies.
And that's the thing, is like a lot of the things from Zendikar, like tribal synergies, Landfall, I being really, really fast and limited, those are things that just pop up every now and then.
And to refocus on Unsanctioned really quick, I want to give it some credit because it is an unset, but doing it a little bit differently. But I look at this and I'm like, it also kind of muddles the identity of what makes it unset and unset. The point of an unset is that it was like a draft thing.
Yeah, you grab a box of Unstable or Unglued or whatever, and you draft it with your friends. That was the fun of it, is that you got like 8 friends together and drafted these crazy cards.
Yeah, you did goofy stuff.
And then with this, it seems like since there are 2 30-card decks, you could still kind of have that experience where it's like, I'm going to buy this one and this one, and you buy that one and that one. But I'm looking at it, I'm like, why not just make this a new product? Why would you name it Unsanctioned?
It is not 2, it's 5.
Oh, it's you buy all 5 at once. Okay, yes. I misunderstood. But I mean, that still gives you some things to mess with, and it seems like it'd be fun to play with, but I'm just looking at it, I'm like, just because it's silver bordered doesn't mean that you have to... Doesn't mean that it has to be an unset. Just do a new silver bordered set. I don't know why this has unslapped onto it.
Because it'll get people mad.
Here's an idea. How about you, I don't know, do like a conspiracy-like product where you're like, okay, we're going to release these 5 decks, and it's kind of like an actual battle box. The fact that it's branded as this joke, it doesn't fit the nature of the product, I think. That's the big thing, is that yeah, you can buy these 5 decks and like play with your friends, and that's the idea of it, but it's... A joke is not as funny if you're just telling it between you and one other person. If you ever like watch stand-up comedy alone, you know it is nowhere near as fun as if you're with your friends watching it together.
Yeah, also I just realized, so these are 30-card decks, so you have to slap them together to get a real 60 deck? Why isn't it 6 decks then? They did 5.
Yeah, I don't
because
know.
It's goofy and wacky.
Yeah, whoa.
Wow. One of your friends will be playing with 30 cards. Wow.
Oh, no. I just had a thought.
Guess they're playing Scape Shift with 30 lands in their deck.
No, I just realized in order to get a full set of decks to play with this and not just have that one extra that's a 30 card, you have to buy it twice.
You know what also annoys me? Why are they 6-sided dice? Why do you give us 6-sided dice? You've always given us 20.
That is a really odd inclusion. Because it's wacky, I guess. I don't know.
It's annoying. That's what it is.
I'm not too upset at this product. I'm a little lukewarm on it. Like, I kind of want to mess with it, but at the same time, I'm just like,
Do you think the reusable box is a joke as well?
It's not reusable?
No, just like they put it on there as a joke.
Is this some sort of off-season April Fool's joke?
I think that's kind of the other thing, is that it doesn't feel like the right time for this, I guess.
What do you mean? It comes out on Leap Day. That's the goofiest day of the year.
Wait, when does this come out?
February 29th, 2020.
It doesn't come out until February?
Yeah.
I thought it was like coming out for Christmas. I thought that was the idea. Is like, oh, well, we can buy this and have fun during Christmas. When's the next Magic product coming out?
Don't know. To be honest. But yeah, just to read it off real quick, announcing Unsanctioned, the pre-constructed Silver Border experience coming February 29th, 2020.
That's such a weird time to put it. I don't understand. Yeah, everything about this announcement and this product is just, it's not bad. It's just really odd. Maybe that's the reason it's an unset, is it's just meant to mess with us?
Would you say it's unhinged?
No, it doesn't have the really good lands.
You don't know that yet.
I wonder if they're going to do new, different, full bordered lands. I think that's one of the biggest selling points and why people will buy this, though, is just to get those full art lands. People love those.
I want to hear other people's words. If you're watching this on YouTube, in the comments, what is your favorite unland? Like, do you like unglued, unhinged, or unstable? I love unstable.
Unglued is the best.
Also, if you like if you like this new unset, tell me why, because I want to like it. I want to be excited like I was for Unstable, and I'm just not.
Oh, the hype was so good in Unstable.
It's so great because like it was a set that I was so hyped for, and it was everything I wanted. It was great. It was like Battle Bond. Battle Bond was. I was so excited to actually play it, and I got in, played my draft with Jordan, and it was fantastic. I love that set.
Well, I mean, you also got broken Stolen Strategy. That didn't help. I remember.
We got past. So, just to tell the story really quick, we got past True Name Nemesis, Peregrine Drake, and Stolen Strategy.
Who is gonna pass a freaking True Name Nemesis? Only at our store would this happen. Only at our store.
Well, because it's for only protection from one player. The other player's still there.
Absolutely
There's
worthless.
2 players in the game. Goodness.
We didn't kill anyone with
about
it the whole night. So, complaining aside, let's move on to more maybe complaining. So coming up this weekend is Mythic Championship 5. And kind of tied in with that, Wizards moved their ban announcement to directly after the tournament.
Suspicious.
The thing is, I think we might all be reading a little bit too much into this. So basically there's 2... Hold on, let me pull up my dates here. So the thing that's kind of interesting about this is that there's a Mythic Championship on the 18th and 20th of October, this weekend for us, this coming next weekend. There's a tabletop one, which is Mythic Championship 6, on November 8th to 10th. They've basically set it up so they get one this month, one next month. And then we get another one in December. Basically what they stated in the announcement was that they were moving it so that it would be in between the 2 events. They said that the esports scheduling was the reason they did this. And that makes sense to me, because if they need to make changes, I think it was moved from after Mythic Championship 6 to the new date, which is right after Mythic Championship 5. So if something's really broken in 5, which is a standard tournament, it would be able to be banned before 6, which is also a standard tournament, because there's no set release. There's no changes going to be made to the format between those two dates. The problem is that since they announced that they have moved it, everyone now expects them to ban something, and looky there, there's Golos and Field of the Dead rocking the crap out of this format.
I am honestly beginning to think that maybe Field of the Dead won't be banned this time. Because I saw some recent tweets that apparently it's started to get countered. People have learned kind of how to beat it. At the same time, it's a card that is always going to be a problem while it's in standard, so I kind of want it gone.
It's also a rough topic because it feels like bannings have kind of been like in the forefront of everyone's mind for so long, and then they kind of screwed it with they kind of screwed this whole mindset with, why am I blanking on the card? Hogak. They kind of screwed this whole mindset with Hogak because we had this like ban mentality after the Kaladesh energy fiasco and after Eldritch Moon, and we keep seeing these standard bans, and then we were like, okay, well, things are okay in standard now. It's bad that Teferi is kind of running the format, but we probably don't need a ban. And then Hogak comes out, and it's just like, okay, we're going to ban 2 cards in Modern, and it's just been bans. There's bans every year now.
Yeah, it seems like they've been kind of swinging for the fence with some cards, and it may have burned them a little bit. I think that if they ban Field of the Dead, so Golos loses a card, they should probably also ban Teferi, by the way. Just because there's an objectively best deck after that. It's Bant. Bant was the best deck before this format started, and I think Bant would still be the best deck because it didn't lose anything. But that's my opinion because I hate Teferi. I hate that little 3-mana Planeswalker. It's awful. And combining it with Oko just makes everyone's life miserable.
I was listening to the Pro Points podcast, and one of the hosts, I can't remember which one, actually said they want to ban like every 3-mana Planeswalker that sees play currently. Lily, Oko, Teferi, Narset, all of them, just because they make this play pattern of like, I'm going to play this value engine on turn 3, you will deal with it, or I will run away with this game. It makes for short games of Magic that aren't actually short games of Magic. You can lose to Liliana of the Veil on turn 3 without actually losing yet. You have to play through the turns even though you're effectively dead.
Honestly, Lily of the Veil is the only reason I dislike Thoughtseize in Modern, because I have had people, even though it may not be the most rewarding play pattern or like the best line for them, will turn 1 Thoughtseize, turn 2 Inquisition, turn 3 drop Lily, and I go, well, I lost this game. Like, people complain about Storm or like Degenerate Combo killing you on turn 2 or turn 3. At least I know I'm dead. At least I can say I'm done with this game of Magic. With Lily on turn 3, you just sit there hoping that you will top deck something and realizing there's no way. You're done. It's just going to take 20 turns to play out, and I find that so much more obnoxious.
And I don't want to make this all about bans and like what we need to get rid of in the format, but Wizards of the Coast, if you listen to this podcast ever, find a way to kill Planeswalkers in Modern, because Dreadbore ain't doing it. It's a 2-color Rakdos spell. It's not good enough as a 2-mana answer.
Abrupt Decay technically takes care of those 3-mana Planeswalkers, but
every single answer I can think of for a resolved 3-mana walker is in 2 colors, 2 distinct mana symbols, and sorcery speed.
I think that the biggest problem is that most of the answers for Planeswalkers in Modern, like the clean ones, so you got Bolt. So if it's at 3 loyalty, you can kill it pretty easily with a Bolt, and those ones usually aren't that bad.
But none of them are at 3 loyalty.
Yeah, but none of the Planeswalkers that are played uptick to 3 loyalty, so that creates a problem. Fry has helped with that a little bit, but it's color intensive, so
color specific.
other thing that I'd like to point out is that this seems to be a bit of a problem in Modern, is all of the answers to Planeswalkers are in Jund, which plays four ofs of the two of the best 3 and below mana Planeswalkers. So the only way to beat Jund is to play Jund. And that's something that happens in Modern a lot, is that the best deck has the answers for the things in the best deck. And it's weird.
What if you made a card that just was like Doomblade, but for Planeswalkers?
That would be cool. I've seen a couple people throw around like a 2 mana red creature that when you use a loyalty ability, you take 2 or 3. Like, that could be a thing. I've seen some people that say
Something that hates on them, yeah.
Yeah, just like a functional reprint of like Pithing Needle that's a little bit better, or Pithing Needle.
Pithing.
This is the thing, is I love Liliana. I love Liliana the Veil. I want a print of Liliana the Veil on my wall right now, because I love that card so much. But I don't want it to be broken, because if it's broken, it's going to get banned, and then I can't play my Liliana the Veil. Same with Ren 6. I want Ren 6 to be a reasonable answer in formats, and she can't be because she can't be killed.
It is interesting. So, and I think in Modern there's a few more ways to deal with the Planeswalkers. Like, they're irritating, you can lose to them, but there's definitely more answers. I think the big problem that a lot of people have with the 3-mana walkers is in Standard, because all of them are relatively safe from removal. We don't really have a way to deal with them right now. I've run into it multiple times where my opponent lands an Oko, and I have a Fry in hand, but I can't deal with the Oko, because they either have a counterspell up with the Oko, which that's just outplaying me, or they have gotten to the point where like I'll top deck a Fry or something, and Oko's at like 7 loyalty, and I'm just like, this is useless.
It's also really bizarre to me that they, and we're completely switching. We don't want to talk too much about Modern, because Mythic Championship 5 is Standard, but it kind of ties into all this where they just keep pushing the envelope. There's a card in Eldraine that's built to fight Oko. It's Questing Beast. It's built to fight all of these walkers. And for some reason, they made it so Oko makes 3/3s instead of, for example, a 2/2, because they wanted you to be able to block Questing Beast, I guess?
Well, Questing Beast is also in green, so you play it in the deck that has Oko in it to beat the Oko mirror. Like, it's the same problem that Jund has, where all the ways to stop the Planeswalkers are in the deck that plays the Planeswalker.
They added this, like, seemingly random text onto Questing Beast, and it seems to be like, oh, well, you can't chump block it. It can't be blocked by things with 2 or less toughness. But then Oko makes 3/3, so it's like, I can't Questing Beast your Oko, so I have to play something like Assassin's Trophy to kill it.
Well, and it seems like with a couple of the cards, they did this thing to like try to balance out the walkers by having them able to hit Planeswalkers. Like, the card Dragonfire, it's something Dragonfire. That card can hit Planeswalkers, but it can't hit players. It was the replacement for Lightning Strike. And they left on that Planeswalker bit so that you could use it to fight the walkers, but it doesn't actually outright kill any of them, so you would need 2 of them, because Oko upticks to 5. So it's like, even if you don't uptick Oko, like if you just leave it there, it doesn't die to it. So it's just like, it doesn't do anything. And it's really odd. Some of the just the loyalty on the Planeswalkers is too much. That's the problem. They're too hard to kill.
Yeah, that's definitely a problem I'm seeing right now, especially with Oko, is why does this make a 3/3 a plus ability?
It's basically Beast Within. It's a removal spell, but for some reason he gets it on a +1.
Yeah.
Yeah. It should probably be a downtick, like downtick 2 to do that, because then it's like you uptick as well to make the food, and then you have to downtick to make it do an actual threat, and the threat actually protects him, so at least it's somewhat balanced.
Oh, Wizards of the Coast. If you do end up like banning Oko or something, I would love to see the development document for him. I want to know where he started and how he got to 2 upticks on a 3-mana walker.
Royal Scions is the same way.
But they're a slightly more fair +1.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, Royal Scions isn't a threat by itself.
It does not say, like, the first So the second plus doesn't say destroy target creature.
Someone down at my shop was like actually arguing with me. It's like, oh, well, it's not actually Beast Within because it doesn't destroy it. It's still there. And I'm like, yeah, because you're going to be bouncing it back to hand in mono black. That's not happening. Like, mono red isn't resetting that thing. If you turn the 4/3 into a 3/3, it's gonna be a 3/3.
Yeah, and the other thing is, since it loses abilities, it's like you can use it on. Because, wait, it hits creatures and I think it can hit one other thing.
You can hit artifacts.
It hits artifacts. Yeah, so it's like, it's a good form of artifact hate, like, against, like, the Dance of the Man stack. I think the Rise of Oko is the reason why that deck kind of fell out of favor, is because you just start turning their 4/4. Well, wait, no, do they get counters or they become 4/4s? I can't remember.
They become 4/4s, so you can kind of stop their abilities that way, but that's not an effective strategy against them. The reason why the Dance of Man deck actually isn't being played is because I think it's just not as powerful as the Field of the Dead decks. I actually think that Dance of the Man versus Oko decks versus like mono black and mono red aggro would be a good format. I think that that's enough of a back and forth between those four decks that it'd be good. But the problem is that any mid-range decks that aren't Oko and any like combo decks that could beat Oko are being pushed out by the Field of the Dead decks. Field of the Dead is just this engine that if you don't answer it, it just gets too much value.
Yeah, I think that's fair. And also, the format currently kind of forces you to find a mid-range engine because all the other decks have them, and Field of the Dead is just the best one, I think. So I don't know if they're going to ban it or not. I have seen some people saying that it's easier to beat now. Like, people have started to, like I said earlier, people have started to adapt to it. Like, I'm playing a blue-red deck, and it's like a flame sweep, and you have a couple of flyers to pressure them. It's not actually that bad. You can usually kill them, but you have to engineer that situation. It's not a clean answer.
By the way, Justin, if you want to go, you can just jump in. Just tell us.
Oh, no, I really haven't played much Standard. I've definitely jumped off of Arena for a while because of these decks. Well, I mean, I was just playing some Standard. Like, I'm just not even doing, like, ranked. I'm just doing the casual, like, traditional play. And it's just Field of the Dead and Oko from what I saw, so I've just called it quits for Arena for a while. Like, it's frustrating.
In the casual queues, it's just the tier 1 decks.
Like, if you had watched my stream at all, I was going on a tirade about it. I was throwing a fit about Oko, especially, because Oko's like the one thing that turns off my decks.
I think that's the other issue, is a lot of people saw this ban change, and they were like, okay, well, they're going to ban Field of the Dead. I don't think you can ban Field of the Dead, because then you just get to play against Oko for the next year. And that's the big thing with both of these cards, is if they don't ban them, they're in Standard for a full, I think it's 10 months until October, which is when our next rotation is.
And it will be interesting to see if, like, what they do and what effect it has on the metagame, because I think, although Oko is really irritating, I think there are ways you can play decks. I think there are decks that can beat the Oko decks. It's just, there's going to be a clear winner as usual in Standard, where we have very powerful things going on.
That's kind of what I'm saying. I think a deck like Dance of the Manse Esper would have a good Oko matchup. You have a lot of counter spells, you have a lot of removal, you have ways to deal with Oko, you have ways to wrath the board if they make a bunch of 3/3s on their end. Things like Wicked Wolf you, I guess, have to deal with, but aside from that card, I think most of your deck lines up well against Oko-style decks, but the problem is that deck is not being able to be played. It even played Planar Cleansing, which is a card that's really good against Oko decks, because most of the time you're like, okay, well, I'm going to Kaya's Wrath, and they still have a Wicked Wolf that was indestructible, they still have their Oko, they still have food laying around, but with Planar Cleansing, everything dies. And that's something that the Esper decks were able to do. They were like the only decks who were able to play that card, and they're just being pushed out of the format because Field of the Dead's too good.
You know, it's interesting because I actually, aside from the constant matchups, against Field of the Dead. I actually don't mind the standard format because aside from having to keep that in mind all the time, it's a very interactive format. I think there's a lot of good lines and fun games to be had. It's just, it's kind of evolved into everyone building around this one deck, and that's kind of a problem. And I'm just worried that if they actually do ban Field of the Dead, like it seems like they might, it would end up being built around the other deck, the food deck. And also, I do want to pat myself on the back, or us on the back, for just being like, yeah, Oko, really good, and food, a lot better than I think a lot of people initially assumed. It is a lot like, it does end up just being a lot like energy, where it's this nebulous resource that just sort of stacks up.
On the bright side, you can actually remove food and interact with it if it's a problem.
Reprint Shattering Spree.
You can just, if you were playing like, there was this mono green Tron with quotation marks around it, just fake Tron list being played before rotation, where you play 4 mana Karn, that turns off all the food. Like, you can't...
It turns off the sacking of the food, but it doesn't turn off, like, not questing beast. It turns off, like, sacking the food, but it doesn't turn off, like, Wicked Wolf, though.
It doesn't turn off Wicked Wolf, but a lot of the other things that use food as a resource, like Witch's Oven, Golden Egg, they're actually artifacts.
Baby Karn might actually do some good in a format. Goodness.
So, do you guys think that instead of printing Sorcerer's Spyglass, they should have done something along the lines of, instead of looking at their hand, you could also make it where they can't have triggered abilities be activated?
I think they should have just I see what you're getting at.
Yeah, something to fight Field of the Dead.
Yeah, because it would be a great answer for all of that, and I know it would be a great answer against basically anything.
Yeah, like a Null Rod type of effect, where it just inhibits, like, because Null Rod... Wait, what does Null Rod do again?
Null Rod turns off all artifacts.
Like a Null Rod type of effect, where it, like, turns off artifacts, but then you can also use it to, like, take out planeswalkers.
Well, no, I'm saying, like, it's 2 mana artifact. When it comes in, name a card, and then activated abilities other than mana abilities can't be activated, and trigger abilities can't be triggered.
What if they did, like, a persistent stifle, like, not where you name a card and all abilities of it, triggered or activated, just fizzle.
Something like Summary Dismissal would be interesting too.
Yeah. Well, that would be a Summary Dismissal reprint would have actually been okay, because then you could wait for the Field of the Dead player to go for their, like, big turn, maybe, and then Summary Dismissal all the triggers. And then if they're trying to, like, grind out, then you could play board wipes to, like, clear the board. But basically what this boils down to is that Field of the Dead may actually need to be banned just because it doesn't have a consistent way to counterplay. There's not really a good answer in the format.
The only reasonable answer is Assassin's Trophy.
Yeah,
you have to be in black-green for that.
Well, on top of that, it reminds me a lot of back in Kaladesh when we saw the energy bans, not because I think that they're that power level. I think the energy decks were in a way more powerful in their format than Field of the Dead is in this format. The energy decks were just so far above everything else, and Field of the Dead is above everything else, but I don't think it's that level.
It's not unapproachable.
Yeah, it's not unapproachable. It's not like, okay, there's just no reason to play anything but this. But it does kind of do the same warping effect where we're like, okay, we have to play aggro in order to get under this. That's the only thing that really can counterplay against this. You can't go bigger than it. It is the be-all, end-all. You can't outvalue Field of the Dead decks.
Mm-hmm. And it's interesting because about 6 months ago, we had a very diverse format right before War of the Spark. And then since then, it's kind of gone downhill a little bit. Like the 3 mana walkers have kind of shifted things. Right after M20 came out, like the format was still looking pretty good. And then people found out about Field of the Dead and it was like, oh no.
I loved the Ravnica Allegiance format. There was Esper, there was Gruul, you could play anything. It was amazing.
I was playing Phoenix and it was competitive. Mono Red aggro was really good still, but like not taking over the format. I think it was right before War of the Spark though. People realized that Mono Red was actually the best and found a build of it that was unbeatable. But it was only around for like a week before the new set came out and not killed the deck, but kept it in check.
But that's the thing is like that 17 land mono red deck came out and people were still brewing and like finding ways to beat it. It wasn't a dead format. I think you could have kept that Ravnica Allegiance format going for another 6 months and it still would have kept shifting and moving around.
Well, that's hindsight. I'm sure maybe in a couple of months we'll look back at like this moment and be like, oh man, you remember when Field of the Dead was a big problem and then we figured it out? Because this format is by no means dead. It's just, it seems like it's getting dominated by this one thing and people want to keep that in check. So it might change. It may end up that Field of the Dead isn't that big of a deal. I think that's one reason why Wizards didn't just ban it. They want to see if people can figure it out, because sometimes they do.
Maybe I'll have to go back to Scryfall and just look through. I'm just gonna look through all of the cards and see what I can find. So we've talked a lot about banning it and the problems with Field of the Dead and what it does to the format, but how do we actually beat it?
I've been playing one of the counters with quotation marks around it, heavy quotation marks, to Field of the Dead in blue-red flash / tempo. It looks exactly the way you think it would. Brineborn Cutthroat,
Every counter spell.
So the way you would expect with Brazen Borrower, Brineborn Cutthroat, like Jake said, every counter spell, and then just removal, and you play Flame Sweep in the side. The way the game plays out is you keep pressure on your opponent and just try to keep them from making too many zombies before you kill them, basically. And with your counterspells, you're able to stop them finding their Field of the Dead. And then game 2, you bring in your Ashioks and your Flame Sweeps in order to just have a clean answer, kind of, to Field of the Dead. The problem that the deck runs into is if they can get Field of the Dead down early, you don't have a way to stop them making zombies. So if your opponent knows you're playing Flame Sweep, which they should guess after game 2, even if they don't see it, they can just make 2 zombies, start applying pressure, remove your things, and then continue to do that until you're forced to Flame Sweep, and then they lead off with like a Golos to get in their Field of the Dead or a Circuitous route, where it makes these weird games where you're the tempo deck, you're the aggressive deck, but you're constantly under pressure because you have to keep your opponent in check or you just lose.
Have you thought about playing Tectonic Rift in that? Because I was playing that. My answer to Golos has been to play Golos. And to just play a version that beats the other Golos decks. And it's been working really well. I'm almost up to Platinum. I basically feel like the minute I play another match, I'll be in Platinum and start climbing through that. Because I've just won since I switched to this deck. I haven't lost. Tectonic Rift was something I was running in the sideboard because I can use Fae of Wishes to go just yoink it. It was tech I got from Brian Gottlieb. And it's just a 3 mana, 3 and 1 red, sorcery, destroy target land. Creatures without flying can't block this turn. So you blow up their Field of the Dead, and you get in a big swing at the same time.
That does seem very good. I may have to try actually running that for when they get their field down earlier than I can deal with.
It is a little expensive at 4 mana, but if you're playing all the counterspells to slow them down, it might be... It's pretty easy for you to actually get to 4 mana.
Yeah, it might be enough. Justin, how does Field of the Dead affect your jank play?
I mean, it affected it to the point where I stopped playing Arena. So I think it's done pretty
just
good.
Check in, because Justin hasn't had much to talk about, because like he said earlier, he hasn't been playing Arena much.
What have you been playing this week?
I mean, just a bunch of random games. You know, the boring stuff that the Magic fans won't like.
Maybe we should go play Modern. Oh, wait a second. Never mind.
I'm gonna go play Emery in Modern.
I'm going to wait and see how the format develops. But Jordan and I had a long discussion about how Red and 6 was too powerful for Modern, and it was this big deal. And no, it's not. Nope. I'm looking at some of the stuff coming out of the SCG tournament that was happening this weekend, and wow, Ren and 6 looks worthless right now.
I mean, they only printed a bunch of really powerful cards in this set, and also an enabler for one of the most degenerate decks ever.
I was watching Autumn Burchett versus Sam Black. Sam Black was playing Mystic Sultai, which is named after the new common land from Eldraine that it's an island, so you can go and fetch it with your island fetchers. And when it enters, you grab an instant or sorcery. When it enters untapped, so you have to have 3 islands, you go grab an instant or sorcery from your graveyard and you put it on top of your deck. So all he does is do that with Cryptic Command, bouncing the land back to his hand and tapping down your team. And if you want to win the game on the ground, you can't. He has infinite fogs.
Yeah, so remember when I had that as my number 1 for Eldraine? This is kind of what I was imagining, is something like this where you just bring back one thing over and over again to just make it so your opponent doesn't get to play or to just combo off.
Autumn won because they are literally playing Vintage Paradoxical Outcome in Modern. And we talked about this. It's insane, and I cannot believe that it was actually printed. And that's probably a good place to end this podcast, because we will complain about this all day.
We can come back to that next week and see where the chips fell and what Modern is like and what the state of it is. So
I think next week we'll actually just have a full episode. We'll talk about Mythic Championship 5. We'll talk about all the Modern stuff coming out, because there's some big shakeups happening. And I'm over here looking with my little Jund deck like, did I just spend $500 on a deck that is unplayable? Because I do not want to play Jund into any of these decks.
Oh man, I forgot to buy Emery. Crap.
All right. So, Justin, you mentioned your stream. Are you going to play any Magic over there, or are you still on the no standard life?
I might just give it a couple, like maybe a week or 2 more of just kind of letting it figure itself out, and then maybe go back into it with a clear mind. But yeah, right now, kind of just going to sit back and watch the madness.
Well, one way or another, if you are also sick of getting Golos in standard, maybe check out Justin over on twitch.tv. Dubious Challenger there, Dubious Challenger on YouTube. He's also Dubious Challenger. No, he's Dubious Justin on Twitter.
Yeah, I'm Dubious Justin on Twitter, Dubious Challenger everywhere else.
And Jordan, you gonna be hitting that counter burn list again, or are you doing something else this week?
Well, I'm going to experiment with a few different lists, but I'm definitely going to be using the counterburn list the most because it seems the most consistent, and it's a playstyle that I love to play every time I get the chance to. So, probably going to be playing mostly that. I'm going to be streaming probably later tonight. This is being recorded on Sunday, by the way, and yeah, if you want to come watch me, I'll be streaming at Is It Fox. I'm Is It Fox on Twitch, on Twitter, and YouTube. The YouTube channel has content now. It has stream VODs, and I'm uploading daily videos of my grind on MTGA, so check it out.
Glorious, glorious content. And I'm Jake the Jackal on Twitch, Jake the Jackal on YouTube, Wiry Jackal on Twitter, Jake the Jackal everywhere. Just Google me, you'll find me. And if you want more updates from us or anything we're doing, you can also find us on @Bandcast at Twitter, Unbannedcast on Patreon as well. Throw us $1. We throw up deck lists, we throw up little extra show clips. We've got some tiers that give you access to a Discord server with us if you want to actually come hang out with us. We play Magic, we play other games. Yeah, give it a look.
Also, more bloopers.
More bloopers. There's approximately 30 minutes of us just talking before every podcast. We're gonna record it all and cut it up into bits for you guys because
we're sometimes funny.
Sometimes we're funny.
On occasion.
I'm not, but these two are.
Justin, you might not notice it, but Justin's actually the funniest one of all 3 of us. You just gotta catch him when he's not ready for it. Well, thank you all for listening, and thank you all for listening again, and we'll see you next week. And we got one final thing to say. That's, I guess, ban Feel the Dead, because
Standard's not fun right now, in my opinion.
Burn the witch.
I don't ban Feel the Dead. Listen. Okay, fine, ban Feel the Dead.
Please ban it.
Just ban it.
Please ban it. It's been annoying for 2 formats now.
All right. We'll see you guys next week.